I snapped, I can invite my ex over. It's my house too. He finally left after 6 years of marriage. I'm standing in our kitchen on a Friday evening, chopping vegetables for dinner. The knife hits the cutting board with rhythmic precision as I glance at my phone for the third time in 5 minutes. No response from Michael yet. He should be home by now, I mutter to myself, tossing diced onions into a sizzling pan. I think, probably stuck in traffic and forgot to text. Again, typical Michael, reliable in his unreliability. My shoulders tense as I stir the onions. 6 years of marriage and his little inconsistencies still get under my skin. Not that I'm perfect either. Far from it, but at least I make an effort to communicate. The front door opens just as I'm reaching for my wine glass. Hey, I'm home, Michael calls out, his footsteps approaching the kitchen. He's 37, 5 years older than me, with those steady brown eyes that first attracted me to him back in college. You're late, I say, not turning around. And you didn't text. Michael sets his briefcase down and loosens his tie. Meeting ran long. Sorry, Amber. I roll my eyes, feeling that familiar irritation bubble up. You know, a simple text takes like 5 seconds. I said I'm sorry, he says quietly, that calm tone he always uses when I'm getting worked up. It drives me crazy how he never raises his voice, how he's always so reasonable. I think, God, why can't he just fight back for once? Show some passion. Whatever, I say, taking a long sip of wine. By the way, Jake called today. Michael pauses mid-movement, his hand hovering over the refrigerator door. Jake, your ex? Yeah, he's in town for a conference. Wants to catch up. And what did you tell him? Michael's voice is carefully neutral, but I notice the slight tightening around his eyes. I shrug. I said, sure, maybe we could grab coffee or something. Michael pulls out a beer, pops the cap off. Is that a good idea? I feel a flash of defensiveness. Why wouldn't it be? We've been over for years. We're just friends now. I didn't realize you two were still in touch. We're not, really. Just occasional texts, I say, deliberately casual. Anyway, he's only in town for the weekend. Michael takes a long pull from his beer. Okay, whatever you think is best. I think, there he goes again with that passive-aggressive okay that isn't really okay. Don't give me that, I snap. If you have a problem with it, just say it. I didn't say I had a problem, Michael responds, that infuriating calm still intact. I just asked if it was a good idea. Well, it's just coffee. It's not like I'm sleeping with him. The moment the words leave my mouth, I regret them. Michael's expression doesn't change, but something in his eyes dims. I never suggested you were, he says quietly. An uncomfortable silence falls between us. I busy myself with dinner preparations, my movements more aggressive than necessary. So when are you meeting him? Michael finally asks. Tomorrow afternoon, probably, I reply. Maybe here, actually. It's supposed to rain. Michael sets his beer down on the counter with a distinct click. Here? In our house? I turn around, spatula in hand. Yeah, why not? It's just coffee. You want to invite your ex-boyfriend to our home while I'm at work? I can feel the conversation sliding into dangerous territory, but something in me wants to push it there. Yes, Michael, I do. Is that a problem? I think it's disrespectful, he says, his voice finally showing a hint of emotion. Disrespectful? I laugh, the sound sharp in our kitchen. It's my house, too. I can invite whoever I want. Michael looks at me for a long moment. Would you be okay if I invited Rachel over while you were gone? Rachel, his ex-fiancée before me. The comparison makes my blood boil. That's completely different, I snap. How? Because she was almost your wife. Jake and I just dated for a couple of years in college. The one you were madly in love with, according to you? The one you said broke your heart? Michael's voice is still even, but his words hit their mark. I feel my face flush. That was a long time ago. So was Rachel, but I wouldn't invite her to our home without discussing it with you first. Well, aren't you just the perfect husband, I say, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Saint Michael, always doing the right thing. He sighs, rubbing his forehead. Amber, I'm not trying to fight with you. I'm just saying it makes me uncomfortable. Well, sometimes life is uncomfortable, Michael. I'm sorry your feelings are hurt, but Jake is an old friend now, and I'm having coffee with him. Here or somewhere else, it doesn't really matter. Michael stares at me, his expression unreadable. Then he sets his beer down, turns, and walks out of the kitchen. Where are you going? I call after him. Dinner's almost ready. I'm not hungry, he replies from the hallway. I stand there, spatula in hand, feeling a mix of frustration and guilt. This isn't our first fight about my friendships with other men, but it's the first time Michael has walked away from me mid conversation. I think he's overreacting. It's just coffee with an ex from a decade ago. What's the big deal? But even as I tell myself this, I know I'm being unfair. If Michael had suggested having Rachel over, I would have lost my mind. The next morning, Saturday, I wake to find Michael's side of the bed empty. I check the time, 9:30 a.m. He's usually still asleep at this hour on weekends. I find him in the living room, drinking coffee and reading something on his tablet. You're up early, I say, hovering in the doorway. Couldn't sleep, he replies without looking up. Michael, about last night. Jake called, he interrupts, finally meeting my eyes. Your phone was ringing in the kitchen. I answered it. My stomach drops. You answered my phone? Why would you do that? It was on the counter. I thought it might be important. His voice is flat. We had an interesting chat. I cross my arms over my chest. About what? About how excited he is to see you again. About how he's always regretted letting you go. About how maybe things could be different now. My heart is pounding. What did you say to him? I told him you'd call him back. Michael sets his coffee down. So is this really just coffee, Amber? I feel a surge of anger, both at Jake for saying those things to my husband and at Michael for answering my phone. Of course it is. I had no idea he felt that way, and you had no right to answer my phone. Maybe not, Michael concedes, but I'm glad I did. What's that supposed to mean? He looks at me directly. It means I've been thinking all night about what you said, about how this is your house too and you can invite whoever you want. Michael, you're right, he continues. It is your house too, and if having your ex over while I'm not home feels appropriate to you, then I can't stop you. I feel a flicker of unease at his tone. I wasn't going to go through with it anyway. I was going to suggest meeting at a coffee shop instead. Were you? His gaze is steady. Or are you just saying that now? I open my mouth to argue, then close it again. The truth is, I'm not sure what I would have done. Part of me, the petty, selfish part I'm not proud of, had wanted to prove a point by having Jake over. I don't know, I admit finally. Michael nods as if my answer confirms something for him. 6 years, Amber. 6 years we've been married, and you still don't understand what respect means in a relationship. His words sting. That's not fair, isn't it? He stands up. This isn't just about Jake. It's about a pattern. The way you talked about me at Amy's party last month, telling everyone I was boring in bed. The time you compared our finances to your brother's in front of my parents. The constant little digs about my career choices. I feel my face heat up. I was just joking at Amy's party. And your parents brought up the money thing, not me. It's never your fault, is it? Michael says quietly, there's always a reason, an excuse. So I'm not perfect, neither are you. I can feel tears threatening, but I blink them back. I hate crying during arguments. It feels like surrender. I've never claimed to be perfect, he says, but I've always tried to respect you, even when we disagree. I think he's right, and I hate that he's right. But what comes out of my mouth is, oh, please, you're not some martyr, Michael. You've done plenty of things that hurt me too. Like what? He challenges. And for once, I see real emotion in his eyes. Anger, hurt, exhaustion. The question catches me off guard because I can't immediately think of specifics. Michael has been steady, reliable, kind, all the things I claim to want in a husband. His greatest sin has been his passivity, his unwillingness to engage in conflict. Like how you shut down during arguments, I say finally. How you never really fight back. Michael laughs, a hollow sound I've rarely heard from him. So I'm at fault for not fighting with you enough? For trying to keep the peace? For not caring enough to fight? I snap. For acting like nothing matters enough to get upset about? This matters, he says, gesturing between us. This has always mattered to me, but there's a difference between fighting for something and just fighting. I stand there, suddenly feeling very small. So what are you saying? Michael sighs, looking tired beyond his years. I'm saying I'm done, Amber. I'm done trying to make this work when you don't seem to want the same thing. The words hit me like a physical blow. You're done? What does that mean? It means I'm leaving, he says simply. I've already called Mark. I'm going to stay with him for a while until I figure things out. You're leaving me because I was going to have coffee with an ex? My voice rises in disbelief. That's insane. No, I'm leaving because after 6 years, you still don't see me. You don't respect me, and I finally respect myself enough to walk away. I feel panic rising in my chest. This can't be happening. Michael doesn't make impulsive decisions. He's the steady one, the one who stays. You can't just leave, I say, my voice cracking. We need to talk about this. We need counseling or something. I suggested counseling last year, he reminds me. You said we didn't need it, that all couples fight sometimes. I'd forgotten that conversation. Or more accurately, I dismissed it at the time as Michael overreacting to a rough patch. I'll call Jake, I say quickly. I'll tell him not to come over. I'll cancel everything. Michael shakes his head. This isn't about Jake. He's just the tipping point. Then what can I do? I ask desperately. Tell me what to do to fix this. That's just it, Amber. There's nothing to fix right now. This is about patterns we've established for years. Patterns I've enabled by not standing up for myself sooner. He moves past me toward the bedroom. I follow him, watching in stunned silence as he pulls a suitcase from the closet and begins packing methodically. You're really doing this? I ask, tears finally spilling over. You're walking out on 6 years of marriage? Michael stops, looks at me with something like pity. I'm walking away from something that isn't working, for either of us. Can you honestly say you've been happy, Amber? The question catches me off guard. Have I been happy? There have been good times, certainly, vacations, holidays, quiet evenings at home. But there's also been a restlessness, a constant feeling that something was missing. I blamed Michael for that feeling, his steadiness, his predictability. I wanted more excitement, more passion, more something. I don't know, I answer truthfully. He nods as if my answer confirms something. Neither have I, not for a long time. I sit heavily on the edge of the bed, watching him pack. Each item he places in the suitcase feels like another nail in the coffin of our marriage. Where will you go? I ask quietly. Mark's for now. Maybe my parents after that. I need some time to think. And then what? Michael zips the suitcase closed. I don't know, Amber. Maybe we both need to figure out what we really want. 2 weeks pass. Michael doesn't come home. He texts occasionally about practical matters, bills, mail, his remaining belongings, but nothing personal. I cancel with Jake, tell him it's not a good time. He sounds disappointed but not surprised. I'm sitting alone on our couch, my couch now, I suppose, scrolling through social media when I see it. A photo posted by Ellie, one of our mutual friends. Michael at a restaurant, smiling more genuinely than I've seen in years. He looks lighter somehow. There's a woman beside him I don't recognize, their shoulders just touching. The caption reads, "Great catching up with old friends. Friday night." My stomach twists. Is he dating already? Has he moved on that quickly? I think, how dare he look so happy when I'm sitting here miserable? I tap out an angry text before I can stop myself. Moving on quickly, aren't you? Who's the woman in Ellie's photo? His reply comes an hour later. Her name is Diane. She's Mark's cousin, visiting from Seattle. We had dinner as a group. Not that it's any of your business anymore. The anymore stings. I put down my phone without responding, feeling a hollow ache in my chest. The next week, I'm in my car outside our favorite restaurant, the place we celebrated our anniversaries, watching couples enter and exit, holding hands, laughing. I don't know why I drove here. Some masochistic impulse, perhaps. That's when I see them. Michael and the same woman from the photo, walking out together. She says something I can't hear, and he throws his head back, laughing freely. His hand rests lightly on the small of her back as they walk to his car. I grip my steering wheel until my knuckles turn white, fighting the urge to get out, to confront them, to make a scene. Instead, I start my car and drive away, tears blurring my vision. By the 1-month mark, reality has set in. Michael's lawyer has contacted me. He wants a divorce. The word feels foreign, impossible. Divorce is for other couples, not us. Not steady, reliable Michael and me. I call him, something I've avoided doing since he left. To my surprise, he answers. Can we talk? I ask, my voice smaller than I intended. In person, I mean. There's a long pause. I don't think that's a good idea right now, Amber. Please, Michael, I need to see you. Another pause. Then, fine, coffee shop on Main, tomorrow at noon. The coffee shop is neutral territory, not our home, not his new space. I arrive early, fidgeting with my cup, rehearsing what I'll say. When Michael walks in, the sight of him knocks the air from my lungs. He looks good, better than good. He's gotten a haircut, lost a few pounds. There's a confidence in his posture I don't recognize. He sits across from me, keeping the table between us like a barrier. You wanted to talk? I take a deep breath. I want to try again. Come home. We can go to counseling, work on things. No, he interrupts, the word gentle but firm. No, I repeat, disbelieving. Just like that? 6 years and you're not even willing to try? Michael sighs. I did try, Amber. For years, we both did in our own ways. But we want different things. How do you know what I want? I demand, anger flaring. You never even gave me a chance to fix things. What do you want then? He asks quietly. Really want, not just what you think you should want. The question stumps me. What do I want? Michael back, obviously. Our life back. But which part of our life? The comfortable routine? The security of knowing someone was always there? Or something else entirely? I want us to be happy, I say finally. Michael nods. I want that too. But I don't think we can make each other happy anymore. Maybe we never could. Because of Diane? I ask bitterly. He looks surprised. This isn't about Diane. We've only known each other a few weeks. But you're dating her, aren't you? While we're still legally married. Michael's expression hardens slightly. We've had dinner a few times. We're getting to know each other. And yes, I like her. She makes me laugh. She listens when I talk. She respects me. Each word is a twist of the knife. And I didn't do those things? Sometimes you did, he acknowledges. But not enough, and I enabled it by never calling you on it. I look down at my untouched coffee, feeling tears threatening again. So that's it? You're just done with me? Michael's voice softens. I'll always care about you, Amber. But yes, our marriage is over. I've signed the papers. My lawyer will send them to you this week. Something in his tone, final, resolved, makes it real in a way nothing else has. He's really leaving me, has already left me. What happens now? I ask, hating how lost I sound. We move on, he says simply, separately. As I watch him walk out of the coffee shop, I'm struck by the realization that I've lost something valuable, something I never fully appreciated until it was gone. Not just Michael, but the safety and stability he represented, the unconditional support I took for granted. 6 months after that coffee shop meeting, the divorce is finalized. I'm living in a small apartment across town, having sold our house in the settlement. Michael and Diane are officially dating now. I see the updates on social media, though I know I should stop looking. I'm standing in my new kitchen on a Friday evening, cooking dinner for one. The space feels too quiet, too empty. I've dated a bit, but nothing serious. Each new man I meet, I find myself getting unfavorable comparisons to Michael. Too loud, too aggressive, too self-centered. I think I never really saw what I had until it was gone. My phone buzzes with a text from my sister. How are you holding up? I type back, I'm okay. Learning a lot about myself, not all of it pretty. And that's the truth. In these months alone, I've had to confront parts of myself I never wanted to see. My selfishness, my need for constant validation, my tendency to tear others down to build myself up. Later that night, I'm scrolling through old photos and come across one from our honeymoon. Michael and me on a beach in Hawaii, his arm around my waist, both of us laughing at something now forgotten. We look so happy, so full of hope for our future together. I think we could have made it work if I'd tried harder, if I'd been kinder, if I'd respected him the way he deserved. But it's too late for those realizations now. Michael has moved on, found someone who appreciates him without the years of accumulated resentments and patterns we built together. And me? I'm left with memories, regrets, and hard-earned lessons about what it really means to love someone. Not the passionate, dramatic love I always thought I wanted, but the quiet, enduring kind that's built on mutual respect and kindness. I close the photo album, wipe away a stray tear, and make a promise to myself. Next time, if there is a next time, I'll do better. I'll be better. Not for someone else, but for myself. Because the hardest lesson I've learned is that you can't truly love another person until you've learned to respect yourself enough to treat others with the same respect you desire. 6 years of marriage ended with a single careless comment. I can invite my ex over. It's my house too. But it wasn't the comment that ended things, it was everything that led up to it. The pattern of disrespect, the taking for granted, the failure to see the damage I was doing until it was too late. Michael deserved better, and someday I hope to be the kind of person who could have given him that.